I've been to enough tournaments to know this, that most people lose before they even grip up. They're not losing because they're weak or they lack technique, but they're losing because they keep making the same mistakes. So I'm breaking down the most common errors that I see at every single tournament and what you can do to fix this right now. Mistake number one that I see when I go to a tournament is showing up without a plan. You have no set lane, no go-to move, and no idea what happens if you lose center. It's just like going into a fist fight and then hoping you'll just figure it out from there. So let me give you an example. Vegas versus Provincials this year. When I showed up to Vegas in March for the IFA Championships, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew for a fact I was gonna hold center table as hard as possible, that internal pressure. I was gonna get my top roll, that high rise, that big squeeze, and no matter what happened off that ready to go, as quick as possible, I was gonna cup and squeeze as hard as I can to the side without letting my arm go away from my shoulder. Provincials, not so much. When I showed up at Provincials this year, I had been maybe a little bit overconfident. I think I was believed to be a lot stronger than I was prior, so I just thought it would be somewhat of a walk in the park. After this whole build up talking about it on YouTube, I get to the tournament, and I remember as soon as I got on the table, I knew something wasn't right. I wasn't feeling it. As soon as I gripped up, I was a little bit of a pushover. I let them get their grip. I wasn't confident. I was just saying, hey, look, I'm stronger. I'm just gonna overpower the top roll. I'm gonna win the match. I wasn't 100% sure that I was gonna commit to a full-on top roll, and it did not go well. So here's how you fix this. One, you have to have a plan A. You have to have your go-to most confident move. If you are a dominant top roller, when you go for that setup, make sure you are mentally and physically prepared to go all in on your top roll. Also, make sure you have a bailout. Don't just going in not knowing how to get out. And I'll give you an example. I have this habit of getting a really good setup on a grip, and I rely so heavily on my hand. The problem is I'm a little bit stubborn, and as I'm committing too much and I go into a losing position, my hand is in such a squeeze position that I don't even think to bail out. If I was just in a generic top roll position, I would probably have more confidence to let loose and restart the match. Also, make sure you know exactly what to do against someone who hooks, who top rolls, and who presses, because going in with a game plan and then not knowing how to get out of these positions, it's only gonna hurt you. And remember, tournament day is for execution. It's not for experimentation. You have to have the experiments in practice so when you get into your tournament, you know exactly what to do. The number two mistake I see, and I am heavily guilty for this, and I'm sure you guys can relate as well, wasting energy and warm-ups. When I went to Vegas, let's use Vegas as an example first. When I showed up there, I was ready to kill. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna get some bands, get a warm-up. I don't want to expand, no energy, because I want to be ready for the tournament. Guess what? I won the tournament, 205 pounds, undefeated. Provincials, not so much. When I came to Provincials this year, I was so excited to show off my strength. I remember in warm-ups, and I was talking to people as I'm warming up on how I'm so tired and how my arms are already sore. And I was pronating through people. I was rising through people that I shouldn't have been rising through. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna win this tournament. This is gonna be a walk in the park. I'm ready to go. Well, guess what? When the tournament actually started, about 30 minutes prior, I kind of realized that I kind of overdid it in the warm-ups. And honestly, that's literally the worst thing you can do, because when the matchups actually started and I'm on the table, I honestly felt fatigued. Now remember, use warm-ups to activate your arms. It's not to exhaust yourself. You don't want to have to show up at your tournament or during your match and then realize you messed up about an hour earlier. Make sure you're doing light pulls in the warm-up just to ramp up your nervous system. Get prepared. Get that intensity rolling. You don't want to go into a warm-up 100% showing off like I did, and it ended up costing me the tournament. And this is where ego comes in. Just save your aggression for the matches. Save it for when it counts, because the warm-ups, I looked cool at the beginning, but to finish last, not so much. I mean, I'm not gonna blame the ranking so much, but we did have someone finish 5 places higher than me who never even competed. So rankings, we'll keep that for another video. So mistake number 3 I see, and this is very common, it's weak setup discipline. If you have a very bad setup or you are not getting what you want, you pretty much have already lost the match. People already lose matches in the setup because they're either 1, getting bullied, or 2, they're giving too much to their opponent. And it's very easy to see. Look at someone's wrist, it's either gonna collapse, their shoulder is gonna go out of place. At first they look set up, but then right before they're ready to go, everything just opens up. That's not really what you want to be doing. The amount of times I've lost a match just based off the setup, it's quite a bit, man. When you are going to set up, you have to take what you want. Don't give your opponent anything. Try to do it without cheating. You don't want to be that guy who's just constantly cheating. When you're actually setting up, you have to have a strong setup. Get exactly what you want. I'm telling you from experience, the amount of matches I have lost due to me giving too much to my opponent, it's not worth it. So how do you fix this? Very simple. First of all, get what you want, but two, when you go to set up, get your back pressure loaded, get that side pressure loaded, get that hand control, get every single thing you can do, and mentally just picture where you are. And if the ref is moving you around too much, just make sure you can take your hand back, you can reset. You might get fouled, but I would rather get a foul or take an extra second than end up losing the matchup based off a false start. Mistake number 4 that I see, and this is a grip panic right off the setup. The amount of times I've seen someone come in full speed, and this is a lot more in the amateurs than it is the pros, but you'll see someone come up, they get exactly what they want. There was even an incident up in Vegas that kind of went viral about a guy who was just so vicious off the start. He got everything he wanted, even though everything was pretty much illegal. He was super pumped up. The ref ended up resetting up the grip at some point, and the guy just got flash pinned. So when you actually go up to set up on the table, get the grip you want and really just try to mentally think about, are you happy? Is this actually going to help me win the matchup? Mistake number 5 I see quite commonly, and this is relying on strength versus technique. Now, I can be one to blame for this. You do realize that with time you get stronger, and sometimes you peak a lot more than you would have assumed. Well, going into a matchup, there have been times where I'm relying on my top roll, I'm relying on my hand control, but something doesn't feel right. So in my head, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna power through it with strength alone. And you can't really do that too often in a losing position. The amount of times I've been opened up here, and I know I'm strong, I know I feel good in the match, but I'm in a position I don't want to be in, and then I have to rely on direct side control and just straight horsepower to finish the matchup. It doesn't end so well, because at the end of the day, you end up going home with a lot more pain than you probably should have. For the non-arm wrestlers out there, the strong guys do think they can outpower someone who arm wrestles, and that's where technique becomes a big problem. Technique will expose that in seconds. But Keanu, how do you fix that? Well, strength matters, but only if you know how to use it. Train your lanes, understand your vectors, and blend timing with power. Remember, strength isn't just the engine, you need a steer as well. And this brings us into mistake number 6 that I see, and I have been heavily guilty to do this as well. This is emotional dumping. Now, I can relate to Washington State Championships 2022, where I apparently, for some reason, had thought that I completely lost tournament just because I had done like 4 weight classes, and I was checked out. All of a sudden, my name gets called for the finals. And I'm like, what? Like, I could literally not believe it. From that moment forward, just that call, something ignited me immediately and ended up placing second in the tournament. But prior to that, I was honestly completely checked out and I wasn't happy because of the losses. However, what you don't see is when you have one win, it pushes you a lot further than you probably think it does. And you see this specifically in the early rounds. Someone loses a round and then slams the table, they mentally check out. They literally let one person ruin their entire day. So how do you fix this? Well, every match is data. Lose with awareness and not with emotion. Use every pull to learn, adjust, and come back stronger. Remember, winners reset, losers spiral. So mistake number 7 that I see all the time, and this is not practicing in the ref setups. I am literally one person to blame when it comes to this. At the club specifically, I never train in the ref setups. And the amount of times I've gone into a tournament where I'm just looking for my top roll and the strap doesn't feel 100% that right and it ends up not going in my favor. Try to always have someone at your club who understands the setup, who understands the strap. That way, when you're actually in a tournament and you're in that ready go position, you're not stumbling or trying to find your way out of it. People don't really practice refs setups enough on the table. And when they get called to the table and then the ref says something or touches them, they freeze and they panic. So everything to them feels foreign. So how do you fix this? Well, self-explanatory. Practice in your setups with a lot of pressure right off the ready go. Have training partners throw you a ready go after a ref grip. And if you guys want a training video on that, I have a audio speed training video right there. Check it out. It's a banger. Remember, treat it like a fight, not a practice. So how do you fix this? Practice with pressure under that ready go position and practice that ref's grip, ready go right off the start. Arm wrestling is not one on the table. It's one before the match even starts. I remember October of 2024, I had a friendly super match with a guy by the name of Alexander Kurdyukov. Very high level athlete, very small, but very high level. I knew somehow, somewhere inside me, that I was very likely to lose before the match even started. Soon as I got up there and he got his grip, I knew it was over. Just that mental state alone had caused me the matchup. I remember showing the matchup to my buddy Joe, and he was telling me, dude, I watched the matchup, I knew you were losing, I knew you were gonna lose based off what you were saying and how you were acting on the table. Which pretty much shows he already knew I was gonna lose before the match even started. And honestly, it's kind of true. The world-class athletes, the guys at the top, are the ones who fix these mistakes very early in their arm wrestling career. So drop in the comments which mistake hits home for you guys. What is one thing you're working on before your next competition? If you guys want to see the deadlift of arm wrestling, click on my most recent video right over there, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. Peace.